Oh my, the voting count question marks. Not only a different conversation, not just because it's Harris Walls and not Donald Trump, but because of what's occurred over the last 4 years, which I'm going to tell you about in this breaking story in just a few seconds. But we have to bear in mind that one of the key things about voting machines is that they're electronic. And when you have no knowledge or information, it's one thing. When you have 4 years to crack it, it's a different conversation. But in this breaking story, we could be facing a different conversation with this in mind.
I was for Trump the whole time.
I was emotionally invested in him winning.
He kind of felt like family to me.
And then
they cheated!
It started.
They're cheaters!
This election was rigged. Everybody knows it.
He was in the Oval Office and says, "Can you believe I lost to this effing guy?"
He knows he lost, but he's a master at finding these people who will say whatever.
2,506 felons voted illegally in Georgia.
We found less than 74.
At least 2,000 individuals not listed as registered.
There was 0.
10,000 or more were deceased.
We found a total of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
They felt that they didn't really need the evidence.
It didn't matter. The president said it, it's fact.
Trump filed on or about 62 suits, all of which were debunked in 2020.
The New York Times reported that in January of 2021, an upside-down American flag, an emblem now widely associated with the lie of a stolen 2020 election.
But also critically, it's 3 days before President Biden's inauguration, and they see this upside-down flag hanging outside the Alito home. At this point, that flag had really become a symbol of the Stop the Steal campaign.
He called me and said, "You'll be the most popular guy in America. All you got to do is find some fraud."
Suddenly, there's a bunch of people at our house. This is my side coming after me.
I mean, it's all theater except they've got assault weapons.
If you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Mr. President, it has to stop.
So instead of a piece of entertainment HBO had to make about what happened in 2020, we are now facing real truth and consequences in 2024 in this breaking story. Take a listen. Breaking news from freespeechforpeople.org. Computer scientists state breaches of voting system software warrant recounts to ensure election verification. The letter states to the White House, possessing copies of the voting system software enables bad actors to install it on electronic devices and to create their own working replicas of the voting system. A group of security experts have written to Vice President Kamala Harris to alert her to the fact that voting systems were breached by Trump allies in 2021 and 2022, and to urge her to seek recounts in key states to ensure election verification. Following the 2020 election, operatives working with Trump attorneys accessed voting equipment in order to gain copies of the software that records and counts votes. The letter to Vice President Harris argues that this extraordinary and unprecedented breach in election system security merits conducting recounts of paper ballots in order to confirm computer-generated tallies. The letter also highlights the fact that the post-election audits in many key states will be conducted after certification and after the window to seek recounts closes, and that, therefore, recounts should be sought promptly. The letter states, possessing copies of the voting system software enables bad actors to install it on electronic devices and to create their own working replicas of the voting systems, probe them, and develop exploits. Skilled adversaries can decompile the software to get a version of the source code, study it for vulnerabilities, and could even develop malware designed to be installed with minimal physical access to the voting equipment by unskilled accomplices to manipulate the vote counts. Attacks could also be launched by compromising the vendors responsible for programming systems before elections, enabling large-scale distribution of malware. Be clear, I'm not just discussing red shirt versus blue shirt, party versus party. This is a different conversation. We live in a world now 4 years later with regards to AI and what certain things can do that would have made the car industry look like advances in 4 years that would have taken 100 years. There are plenty of people. Tina Peters just went to jail in Colorado for the illegal breaches she made back in 2020. And so when you have access to, as we would say, the guts of anything, the engine of anything, and have 4 years to examine it with experts, there's a lot of stuff you could possibly come up with. Stay tuned on this situation because it could be devastating if we discover too late that things were actually altered this time in 2024 for Trump. Stay frosty. See you soon.